This is the story of John Haigh, the acid bath murderer. In 1949, John Haigh terrorized England. He committed what he called the perfect murder. No body, no crime. But his acid house of horrors was eventually brought down by some very inconvenient science. Today we're diving into the dark world of John Haigh, the acid bath murderer, and exploring how forensic science caught up with him despite his best efforts to dissolve both his victims and his crimes. If you're new here, welcome. We bring you unsettling true crime horror stories that stay with you long after the screen fades to black. So hit subscribe so you never miss an upload. And while you're at it, give us a like because good forensic science should be celebrated. So let's meet our would-be perfect murderer. John Craigie Haigh was born on July 24, 1909 in Yorkshire, England. From the start, he was a troublesome child, reportedly killing animals and generally being a menace. As an adult, he committed petty thefts, was briefly in the army and then married and had a son. But by age 30, his marriage was failing. He moved to London where he started working in a car battery factory. It was there that he began experimenting with sulfuric acid, trying to see if it could help him commit the perfect murder. Haigh had heard about a legal principle known as corpus delicti, which states that there can be no murder without a body. No body, no murder. Inspired by a French killer, Georges-Alexandre Sarret, who used acid to dissolve his victims, Haigh decided to try out sulfuric acid on some mice. If bodies could vanish, murder couldn't be proven. And so with this seemingly foolproof plan in mind, Haigh purchased a 40-gallon acid drum, installed a waste pipe to carry away the liquid, and converted the basement of his Kensington home into an acid bath workshop. But before he could commit his perfect murder, he needed money. He turned to his old job at the battery factory and asked his boss, William McSwan, for a loan. McSwan agreed to lend him £500, the modern-day equivalent of about £22,000. But when Haigh failed to repay the loan, McSwan paid him a visit at his workshop to discuss repayment. Haigh invited him down into his basement, and on March 1944, he bludgeoned McSwan to death. He dropped the body in his acid drum, poured the remains down the drain, and committed his perfect murder. Or had he? He wasn't done. Over the next few months, he repeated the process with several other wealthy acquaintances. He even lured McSwan's parents to his basement with a false pretense and killed them too. After each murder, he would dissolve the bodies in the acid and take their valuables. Within 2 years, he'd made off with thousands of pounds. But soon he was running low on funds. His next victims were Dr. Archibald Henderson and his wife, Rose. He shot them with Henderson's own revolver and dissolved their bodies in acid barrels. Again, he stole their assets and got away with it. For a while. His last victim was 69-year-old Olive Duran Deacon. She was lured to his workshop with promises of a scientific invention and was shot in the neck and dropped into the acid. But this time there was no drain. The remains were dumped in the yard. It was there that forensic pathologist Keith Simpson found 28 pounds of human fat. Haigh tried to cover his tracks by claiming the victims had willingly entered his acid baths, but the evidence quickly mounted against him. Gallstones, bones, and dentures were recovered from the sludge, and forensic odontologist Dr. Charles Hannon matched the dentures to Olive's dentist records. Haigh's own clothing contained traces of acid and gunshot residue. Haigh's arrogance proved his undoing. He'd pawned one of Olive's coats and detectives traced it to him through a dry cleaner's receipt. When they searched his workshop, they found human sludge and Haigh's elaborate facade of the perfect murderer began to crumble. He confessed to 6 murders and implicated 3 more. Claiming he'd drunk the victim's blood, he pleaded insanity. But the jury saw through his act. It took them less than an hour to convict him of murder. On August 10, 1949, Haigh was hanged at Wandsworth Prison by famed executioner Albert Pierre Point. In a final macabre twist, he donated his clothes to Madame Tussauds. Haigh was convinced that acid could wash away his crimes, but science proved him wrong. Forensic science had come a long way and Haigh's crimes became a thing of legend, forever shattering the myth of no body, no crime. And that's the end of our episode today. Let me know what you think. What other cases should we cover, and don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe. See you next time.